Well, first of all, weather weapons, and it's not just weather, it's also geophysical weapons. They can generate earthquakes. They can generate volcanoes. Interesting, isn't it, how all the volcanoes are coming active? And by the way, I want all of your listeners...
He said that. Secretary of Defense said that.
Absolutely, but keep everyone's eyes on ANAK, A-N-A-K, Krakatoa in, Indonesia. That's the big one that's getting ready to go off. But here, listen, how about this, Alex? Here's one of our mutual listeners, Steve. In northeast Ohio, all the nut trees, the oaks, the hickories, and others have all dropped their nuts. This means mass starvation for the animals, which equates to less animal foods available for those who bug out. That
means they dropped them before they developed.
You got it. And what's happening with the by controlling the food, you control the people. What people don't understand is when mad cow and what's called ungulate fever and chronic wasting disease in the deer and elk populations of the West and everything, that was all genetically engineered. They were black ops helicopters. Remember all the crap you and I used to get, Alex? Oh, there are no black helicopters. You guys are all conspiracy theorists, And then, interestingly enough, up in our country, Montana/Wyoming, mad cow and chronic wasting disease broke out in the deer and elk population, and also in Wisconsin. See, what people don't understand is these individuals absolutely want to depopulate the earth, bring it to a sustainable population of 500 million, and you better pray you're one of them, or else you better be against them, because that means roughly, Alex, 1/12 of the world's population gets to survive. How do you initiate that? Even in a nuclear war, my specialty before getting on talk radio was Cold War weapons, nuclear proliferation, and the whole thing, everything associated with World War III from an atomic standpoint. But the point is that even in a nuclear war, you cannot get the kill ratio that you can get with bioweapons, especially if the dispersion of those bioweapons is strategically placed.
And again, you've made the key point. They need this flu crisis to get their carbon tax through, their socialized health care through to carry out the eugenics, to get their gun grabbing through, to get their entire smokescreen so they can pose as saviors. If we expose them, though, I believe they may back off on this plan. Obama's approval is dropping even faster than Biden said it would. Remember, he said 6-9 months into my administration, we're going to be very unpopular. They knew what they were going to be doing, and he didn't know he was being recorded with those hires up. Let's take a call. Let's talk to Mark in Tennessee. Mark, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, good to talk with you and Steve. I'm a long-time listener, over a decade. Yeah, I 100% agree that the biological avenue is the way they're going to take for several reasons. First and foremost, if you think about it, one of the best ways to get neighbors to snitch on neighbors, to turn against neighbors, is most of these gap-jawed, round-bellied, Kool-Aid gulping sheep zombies. All they're going to know is that I don't want him giving my family the flu.
Yeah, they're too stupid to know that if they've had the shot and it supposedly works, then your neighbor can't give it to you. That bogus term. In fact, you were using it earlier about the common good, or what's that term they use to try to forcibly inject everybody? Steve?
I'm sorry, Alex. You just missed me. I'm just...
Public welfare.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, you tell these idiots, hey, if you've had the bioweapon shot, you supposedly should be safe. But the truth is, it's usually the people getting the shots that spread it.
Right, and I call those people infectons, okay? And INFECTONS. In other words, people who are intentionally infected so that they become the vectors, whether they travel. Listen, all you'd have to do is hit the major airports, vaccination. Guess what's happening, Alex? They're setting up vaccination ports in the airport. You don't get your vaccine, you don't get on the airplane.
Exactly as we predicted. Now they're saying, like, have a bracelet to get in a store. They lock down schools. If one kid gets sick, it isn't even the flu. It's the new medicalized tyranny. Great points, Mark. Let's talk to Andy in Florida. Andy, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
My theory is that there's too much similarities and motive here between the economic crisis and the swine flu. I think that our economy and banking system basically completely collapsed last fall. And without the Band-Aid, Ponzi-like Federal Reserve bailout, where it was nothing more than we gave the banks, money on paper, and they turned around and bought our treasuries, that and sending 10 senior staff members over to China over the past, 6 months, I think we have a real problem with our monetary system, and that it completely has to be reset, and that this swine flu is the false flag to be ready for martial law in the event of a economic currency reset.
No, that's it. They're going to use it, whether they just fearmonger and it isn't deadly. But if they need to, they'll release some bioweapon that does kill a bunch of people. If they need that to pose as saviors and put troops on the streets. I mean, they're doing it.
Well, I think, too, that everyone's got to keep in mind that you've got the baby boomers growing up. You've got all these massive retirement programs that can't be funded because the big companies have stolen all their retirees. You've got the situation where what do you do with an angry population that knows you've screwed them, that now you're going to try and kill them, that you're destroying their family? Listen, when America's backed into a wall, Alex, I remember the very first show I ever did with Art Bell. I said there's going to be a civil war in the United States because they're generating one. I said they'll turn everybody against everybody, and ultimately it'll be to cover their tracks from the greatest plundering of the most prosperous nation in history. That's what it's about. Jesus said it. You basically, the love of money is the root of all evil. The control of money is the control of all evil. And everybody should have asked this question. Excuse me, where in the Constitution did Hank Paulson get the authority to declare martial law if by blackmailing Congress they didn't go along with the bailout?
That's right. I mean, they threatened Congress with martial law if they didn't submit, and people didn't believe me when that happened. And then now it's mainstream news that we told the truth again.
Yep.
From our congressional sources. Thank you, caller. We're going to talk to a few more callers on the other side with Steve Quayle. We'll be back next Wednesday as we go into this storm. We got to get the word out now. We got to expose this is a hoax, that this is staged, or they are going to use it for the total takeover. They've got the assets in place.